attempting to solve our personal problems, no matter whether they are our own self and our issues, whether they are about relationships, our work and career, family dynamics and illness. They are a place where we are so close to the issues that we can't see the forest for the trees, as the saying goes. What do we do? Most people, many people, they will resort to psychologists and psychiatrists, and they will sit in never-ending therapy sessions of 55 minutes or so. Time's up, next week. And you never get anywhere. You talk, and they listen, perhaps give a jolt of a piece of information, and if they're actually really good, they'll start asking deep questions for you to think and bring another perspective forth. But not all do that. So what do? After years and years of frustration and the same things keep coming up? Well, I'll tell you one thing I have recently realized. Not that I haven't known it in the past, but weeding is such a great way of getting out of the way and seeing your problems from a very deep root perspective. And you're going to say, weeding? Oh my God, how boring. But I tell you, it's not. It actually is an amazing process that will take you, most of the time not realizing it, into places and thoughts that you never had surface before. Let me give you an example. When you do start weeding in a garden of multiple types of weeds, you start not just cutting them off at the surface, but digging down to get the roots, because obviously they're going to keep on coming back. Even if you get the roots, they're so insidious that they will keep coming back. But that's not the point here. The point is you have to dig and get the root of the weed that you are currently working with. And you pull it out, work it to pull it out of the earth, trying not to break it. It may sound strange, but I'll give you an example further down the road. And when you look at the weed structure and the root structure of that particular weed, and all structures are very different for different plants. Subtly different, but they're very different. But look at them. And it's not just one tentacle. It's multiples of threads of very small, fine growth. And some that are thicker than others. They go off in different directions. You have ones that have multiple little threads coming off them. If you look at, the bane of existence is what they call buffalo grass. And it starts, and then the long tentacles follow out from there, and they get into everything. But along the way, in sections, they anchor themselves into the ground. And so that you can have sometimes 3 or 4 feet long root coming from the center place of the weed, of the buffalo grass, and it's starting to anchor itself again. This is about how our problems are created. They are not on the surface. Promise you, they are not on the surface. What you see now is the result of all of the times and happenings and events and years and generations that perhaps have grown into and through the plant that is your problem. Now, if you look at the weed The top of it is one thing, and sometimes some weeds look rather lovely and they have flowers on it, and you don't even want to pull them when they're in flower. But then you look underneath, below the soil, and that's where the life force is. That is where the matrix is running. That is exactly the same as your problems. No matter what the problem is, it is running below the surface and has been for a long time. And it has many, many types of issues that go along with them. And unless you are very, very good as a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and that you know how the natural forces work, and I'm not talking about in an academic or theoretical way, because you'll never get there that way. But it's Mother Nature that will teach you and show you and be witness to the amazing unfolding that you can do by weeding. Quite a few years ago, I was asked by a gentleman who makes medicine tinctures and salves and herbal medicines and from the plants up in Northern California. His heritage and his lineage is from the Modoc and the Wintu tribes. And he works from what he was taught as a very young child on how to do the medicines. Now, plant medicine has been around for thousands and thousands of years. And it is actually what the basis of all pharmaceuticals, but they have corrupted the information. That is another dialogue for a podcast, and I'll tell you how that works from first-hand experience. But he was needing to make some of his yerba sante tinctures, and it was the time of year that the yerba sante was at the right condition and of growth to be harvested. He asked me if I would help him. And I went, absolutely, but I've never done this before. And he says, it doesn't matter, you will know what to do. He says, I need an elder, a woman with wisdom to come and help me. And I asked why. And he said, I can make the medicines. A medicine man can make the medicines to go and heal and help all ailments that we have known of through time. But they are not allowed to go and forage for the herbs, for the roots, to make those tinctures. In our tradition, a woman is the one who needs to dig for the root. And so I was very honored. On the appropriate day, we drove up to Mount Lassen National Park. And we went up to probably nearly 8,000 or 9,000 feet to a hillside. And he stops and we park and we can see points and he goes, we're going to go up there. And so we arrive up at the area where the yerba sante was growing on the hillside. As this was a sacred ceremony of gathering the roots for the medicine, I had worn my traditional sarong and a top and brought my drum. He said, now you are to go and choose. I need 3 roots. He says, walk through the area of the yerba sante and allow the plants to talk to you. And they will show you the 3 plants that are open today to becoming medicine. And I just looked at him and was like, how will I know? And he says, you will know. He says, you have the wisdom. You will know. And so he goes and sits down. and I wander, and I start walking through the Yerba Sante and looking at the view, and it was magnificent. And I look at this plant, and I look at that plant. It's like, at first my head was going, how do I know? How do I know? How do I know? And then I just dropped into it. And then the song starts coming. Not a song that I have ever sung, but words in a language that I did not even know I knew. And it was coming from deep within me. And I sang. And as I sang and I walked gently through the plants, one became lighter. I went, you are it. You are the one. And so I stopped. And I had been given a digging stick. And so I knelt down, sat on the ground at some point, stood up, however it was that we needed to do it. And I started moving the earth away with my hands and with the stick. And I'm digging, and I had no idea how long and how big these roots were, because I'd only seen the top. And so I'm digging. And as I'm digging a little longer, more songs come through. And I'm singing. And then there's tears. And then there's thoughts. And then the plant is talking to me in ways that I could not have ever realized, because I'd never taken so much specific time and focus to work in this manner. And I'm digging and digging and digging and moving it around and pulling the earth away and giving a little tug. Nope, we're not ready. And digging more, moving the soil away, singing, digging, moving the soil away, giving a little pull to see if it was coming loose. Nope. And the root was quite large. Larger than it seemed that the plant would be. And I keep going and keep going and keep going. And on this particular, the first one, I don't really know how long it was. It might have been half an hour, maybe in 15 minutes. Could have been 5 minutes. It seemed, it was timeless. And as the songs became more powerful, I could feel that the plant was talking and saying, I'm getting ready. You're getting close. Because the song was different. The intensity was different. And my focus was different. And I was one with the plant and the soil, digging, moving the soil, pulling. And it was starting to feel like a loose tooth. You know, it's like in the beginning, it's like a little tiny bit loose. And then as it gets looser and looser, you can feel that it's getting that ready place. And that was the same as the root. It was getting ready to release from the soil. And the songs kept coming. And I remember on this first one, because I had never done this before, it was so powerful, so emotional. I'm even feeling like the tears are right there right now, thinking about it and feeling and remembering the song and the feeling and the earth, the mountain, the plant, and going, thank you, Mother Earth. Thank you for the medicine that you always provide. Thank you for the wisdom that you always reveal to us. Thank you for the patience you have with us as human beings, because we are so dense, so insanely stupid sometimes, most of the time. And so I'm digging, and the tears are flowing, and the song is becoming more and more powerful. And the root is starting to loosen and become looser and move around, and it wiggles a little bit, and it keeps going, and I'm digging, and I'm digging, and I'm digging. And the taproot's right there, and it's like, oh my gosh, but I can't break it. I have to wait until the